Thank you for, I don't know, thank you for viewing this video. I'm creating this walkthrough video to show how I remove images from a background. So I'm actually creating this video because I just wanted to share my process of how I remove images from a top background, and I even deal with images that can be a little bit tricky, images that have like a lot of curly hair, how I go about solving that kind of problem. So this is not a tutorial video, it's more just a walkthrough video. So I'm going to be walking through something that I'm working on or I've worked on. So I decided to screen grab my screen while I was working, so I'll be able to share my process. So I often use images for social media design, and then like most of the times I find that a lot of the tasks that I get to carry out on Photoshop are mostly around editing images, creating special effects and all of that. So it's like something that I get to do almost all the time. So I'm just going to talk about my process and how I go about it, and then a little bit of background. So first of all, I don't know, but I'm not really a big fan of the pen tool. I know like a lot of people might find it that weird, but I'm not really a big fan of pen tool. I don't know, like I feel there are other tools on Photoshop that can allow me remove or like allow me cut image easily. Well, I think this video is going to be for people that have a little bit of knowledge of what I'm saying, so I don't want to go into like simple details, but I prefer using tools like the object selection tool, and then use that with the lasso tool to like achieve precision and edit images quickly. I don't know, I use pen tool. I'm not going to disregard it. I use pen tool like most times when I just need like really good precision where I'm editing, so I go to pen tool, but it's usually not just like my number one choice. I'll rather do an object selection tool and then use this thing. I'm just going to use my lasso tool to clean up that selection. And one thing that I found out about this particular piece of process was that it wasn't allowing me to get like cut my images really well. Like I wasn't enjoying the process. Like the output was just I don't know the word to use here, but I think the output was just they were not really so clean. They were not really like, wow, this is nice. So I stopped using it for a while, and I began using some AI tools to like cut my images. And one thing about AI tools is that yes, there are a lot of AI tools that you can use to remove an image from a background. The thing about AI tools is that some of them will give you low quality outputs. Some of them are expensive. Some of them, sometimes the selection is not just great. So I just had to like take my time to like learn how to actually remove an image from a background. And one thing that I found about like researching about this is that I got to understand that this is like a problem that actually needs solving. I find that a lot of people also go through that same phase, that they don't really know how to remove an image from a background. And like the one thing that really wowed me was that I saw an actual Photoshop course that was just built around removing images from programs, showing different processes and tricks, and it's really cool. So like I was like, well, so this is an actual problem, and like people are already providing solutions to this problem, which is really good. And I think this is like maybe my own part of providing my own form of solution to this particular piece of problem. So the process I'm going to be doing, obviously I learned it on YouTube, and then I'm going to be referencing the link of the particular video, so you can go and check it out to have like much more in-depth details, because this is just like me explaining how I understand it and how I go about using that particular process that I've learned. So I'll strongly suggest that you actually go and check out that video. So for this walkthrough video, I actually needed some images to use for a particular post that I made on Instagram. So I had to like go on Shutterstock and download some working images that I could use. So one thing about these working images is that it came to add like plain background, which was what I wanted. And the reason why I selected plain background was because I feel it's going to be a little bit easy to remove background from plain background, remove the images from a plain background. So that is what I'm currently doing here. So one thing that I would just like to say right now is that I'm actually going to be switching my view, because actually have my screen on the other side here right now, so I'm going to be looking at the other side now. Then I'll be speaking from there. So basically, definitely what you're going to be seeing on my screen now currently is me trying to remove I'm trying to remove this particular lady away from this plain background. So like I said, I went to Shutterstock. So these are Shutterstock powered images that I went to download. So I just needed like color, I just needed working images. I need someone that is working, that is maybe on laptop, on couch, something that just depicts working, like that depicts a work mode, and something like is a little bit useful. So I opted for this kind of images. And what I'm currently doing right now is that I'm actually using the object selection tool. So I already told you about my process. Like, I'm not someone that will just go straight into Photoshop and then go use like the pen tool. I'll obviously use like my object selection tool. One, it makes my work very faster, and then it's like an also tool that I've been using ever since Photoshop added it, and then I really love it. The next thing that I'm going to do obviously is that after I use my object selection tool to like to ensure that this image is actually selected, I'm going to be using my lasso tool to actually clean my selection. So like I said, I really need to clean selection, like just ensure that it's really clean, so that when I'm going to be using this particular process that I'm talking about, I'll be able to select the areas properly. So it's really important for me to use the lasso tool. Yeah, you can actually use the pen tool at the beginning, but like I said, if you want to do it fast, quick, just use this method. I don't know. I've been using this for more than 2 or 3 years. I think 2 years. This update came obviously 2 years ago, so I've been using it ever since the update came. And like one fascinating thing for me was that like the first tool that I used on the 2019 update was actually object selection tool. I don't know, like I was just in love with it. So basically what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to like clean up my selection, and then yeah, I'm going to fast forward the video a bit. So yes, after my selection, the next thing that I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to select and mask the background out. So once I enable this, I'll be able to mask out the background area. And if you actually look at this looks actually good. One thing I'll say is that like this particular piece of method was a method that I often use, and like after I select a mask, like this is where I stop. I really didn't know anything about cleaning the air to ensure that it doesn't pick any of the background at all. Like I didn't really know all of that, so I'll just stop in this particular area. And for this particular image, I think it's actually great. But like when I begin to use it on maybe a social media design that has that type of background, then you begin to notice that you are picking some element of the previous background, which is really not good. So what I'm currently trying to do now is that I've selected and marked out the background. The next thing that I'm going to be doing now is that I am going to go over to the select menu and click on select a mask, obviously. So I'm going to click on select a mask, and this is going to open a new layer for me to be able to edit my selection. So one pretty cool thing about this is that, well, I just need to state that when you click on select a mask, it's going to give you different options, but I think you can just look over to the view setting and adjust the view setting. So I just had my view setting. That is why I have the red background, and I use the red background because I think the red background, it's a bright background, so I feel like it's going to contrast more with like any other color that is being kept on it. So as you can see now, I'm trying to look at the extra details in the air to see like areas that I must have picked out from the previous background. And if you look at this particular image, well, you see like I have a lot of blue areas around the air, which is something that I really don't want. I really don't want something like that. So the first thing that I'm going to do now is I'm going to ensure that I click on the refine I'm going to click on the refine edge brush, and the refine edge brush is actually the second tool on the left hand side of the panel. So what I'm going to do first is that I'm actually going to select an area. So I'm going to select an area around the air. So the first part I'm trying to treat here is I'm just trying to treat the air. So I'm going to select I'm going to actually select a part of the air, and then with the refine edge brush you can actually select areas of the, once you've already choose a selection, you actually trace out areas of the air that you don't really want. So what it's going to do here is that it's just going to delete textures that does not apply with the areas that you've selected. So since I've selected the air, like anything that is not just related to the texture of the air is just going to remove it out. So the blue areas that I have around the air, I'm just going to be going around it to actually remove them. So if you're looking at my screen currently, you'll be able to see that a lot of the blues are beginning to disappear one after the other, and like this is really good. So if you're having cases whereby like you have the air and then air is just like on different shades of the background that you really don't want, you can actually use this tool. And another beautiful thing about this is that if you don't have the air selected, you can still even use this tool to have that air selected, because it's just trying to match out textures that are similar to it. So truly a really interesting tool. So I think I have about 3 images here, and I'll just breeze through how this refine edge brush tool, I was able to use it for other aspects as well. So as I'm done with the air, I see like it looks good, but I want something that is really clean and something that can actually stand out to the social media design that I'm currently working on. So I need to like clean areas of the laptop just to ensure that like this thing is really awesome. Yep, so this is it. So I'm going to fast forward a bit. Yep, so one thing that is, after you've like cleaned up the image, the next thing that you want to do is you want to you just need to like click on OK, and then once you click on OK, actually I feel like your work is actually done, because you've removed out all those unwanted areas already, and like you can actually use the image. You can actually use the image. So but before you move there, another thing you like want to consider is that one thing you want to consider is that there are just sometimes that the particular selection that you have made, it's not just the particular selection that you have made will not just like I don't know what you use here, might not just be as how you wanted it. So one thing I noticed is that if I use object selection tool, then use like my lasso to clean out my selection, and then sometimes there might be cases where I use feather, and when I use the feather option just clears like this kind of white layers around that particular image. So there's a way, it's not all the cases when you use this particular method that you also have that as well, but there are some, there's a way you can actually manage such situation, and that is the next process that I'm going to be going through here. Like there's not a lot of feather yet, but I just wanted to show you there's not a lot of white blurry lines around this image, but I just wanted to show you like how will you go about such situation. So in such situation here, I'm going to alt click my masked area, and then I'm going to go over to I'm going to ensure that I click my alt, sorry, I'm going to ensure that I click on alt select my masked area, and then once I'm done, I'm going to use the black to like kind of I'm going to use black to actually like cover the light area. So like for mask, like black is mostly to cover light areas. So I'm just going to use I'm just going to use my brush tool to actually like cover the light areas and just allow the dark areas to be more standout for this particular image. So that is what I'm currently doing, and after that the next thing for me is to actually save this image. So how am I going to save this image? So one thing that I've come to realize is that like when I'm working with images, I want that image to actually have like a very fixed size and width, like it's the actual size of the image and not from where I actually crop the image from, because most of the times I'm going to save this to my Creative Cloud, or if I'm not going to save it to my Creative Cloud and I'm trying to export it out, I still need it to have like its own with its own actual fixed width and height. So the next thing that I'm actually going to do now is that I'm actually just going to, so the method, this is, so there are methods that you can go about this. So but the first thing I'm currently trying to do is I'm trying to like merge my layers, and then once I have the layers merged, so the process that I took is actually a long process. So I merged my layers, and then I click on Ctrl+C to actually copy, and then I open a new document. And when you copy, I'm trying to open a new document, it's going to retain the size of the clipboard, and then you'll be able to create a new document and paste the image from the clipboard, and you just be able to see that it does the actual size. So this is actually too long, so there's a shorter way that you can go about this. Another way that you can do is that you can just, after you've already merged the layer, you can just convert it to smart objects. Click on smart objects, it's going to open a new document, and from that new document you'll actually be able to save the project that you're working on. So that is how I go about removing an image from a background. So so nothing really serious, just me talking about my process, and I hope that at least it's a bit of information here that you stand to gain from. So this same process that I use is the same process that I use for this particular piece of image, and you can see I use my object selection, use my lasso tool to clean up my selection. From there I select the mask and all of the features that I talked about. So it's really that easy, and yeah, I think a lot of people can like stop using AI tools now. I don't know, depends.